What's up, everybody, man? Thank you guys tuning in to another episode of Coffee and Coaching. This is John Kitchens. Got my man, Mr. Justin Zimmerman, tuning in with us. What's up, brother?
Spectacular day, way to start the day here. Got my little portable studio set up right now, and I'm in Park City at Scooter Camp at the world famous Woodward ski park, mountain bike park, depending on what season it is right now, and just took my son up here for my day to drive, my day to go up here. And so, you got to be flexible, you got to be malleable, and here I am with you guys right now, holding it down and about to share some great stuff with y'all.
Yeah, man, I'm excited to jump in, dive in with you. I'm glad we were able to connect and get in the calendar to chop it up a little bit, man. So so we go back to the NAEA days. God dang, when was that? Was that 15, 16?
13, 14, 15.
13, 14, 15. Holy smokes.
Yeah.
Man.
And I've heard of you well before that. I in 2006 or 7 got connected with Mike and Jay for a podcast, actually, that I got this microphone for, believe it or not. It's still kicking it. People are like, that's the most professional microphone ever. I'm like, yo, it's a relic, I'm sure, by this point. And I interviewed Mike and Jay for a podcast series, stayed in touch. Whatever it was at the time, they were digging in on the things I was digging in on, and it was all new and groundbreaking then. And we stayed in touch and ended up working together about almost a decade later. And I remember you in the background being the man behind the man. I don't think they could have done what they did without you. So I've always admired the work and the structure. And I would also say tolerance that you've been able to
threshold of
maybe
pain.
That speaks thresholds of pain, man. And I think that might be what's titled this episode, Thresholds of Pain, because I think that's grit. It's been a part of what you and I kind of bonded over in the last couple of years.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So what were you doing at that time to interview those guys?
I was starting a podcast series, believe it or not, back then, interviewing all the best, best agents, best software companies, best tools, trying to get into the weeds on what's working. It was a little bit of selfish motivation. I was a real estate agent at the time, and I wanted to know what other people were doing. And at the time, there was no social media. There was NAR magazine, like the physical one that came in from things called trees in the mail once a month. And I remember reading articles and just picking up the phone to do social networking and ask people who's the best at this, who's the best at that, and just book my calendar a little bit here and there with the experts of the time. And from there, I learned, I grew, and I realized I loved the marketing and the commerce side more than the transactions and the sales, and made my way to working with Alex Sharfin at CDPE when that was blowing up, and then moved my way over to NAEA when that was blowing up. And then did some work with KCM at Keeping Current Matters, and then found my way for about 5 years at the Red X. And I moved to Utah, which is how I'm here right now in Park City. They're based in Orem, Utah. Fantastic group of people. And then recently departed from there about last year, and actually at my new company, Sales Message, which is this is not a sponsor. Just happen to be wearing this shirt right now, but it's a software company that we get a lot of real estate agents actually using for text messaging, communication with clients, and prospecting. So just kind of riding the waves as they come and go, and trying to surf as I see them.
Yeah, man. Just riding it wherever you can align and add value. You've always really come from that place, right? Really trying to dive in, very inquisitive, always asking great questions, trying to get really to the truth, the inner workings, and then where you see fit, where you can layer in values. I think there's so much to be said about that, and so much to be said to where just like you said, looking to where you can add your value to organizations, things that are excelling, things that are growing. And man, what some amazing companies, some amazing dynamics and leadership that you've had the opportunity to plug into and work with.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think that might be kind of one of the other themes for today is I made some notes in the private chat, really for me. And I did some almost, I would call it meditation before this show today to kind of like, what's like the thing that I could impart and share after, 2 decades of working in the industry, moving now more broadly into software and just business in general, right? Like going from solopreneurs to building teams, to building departments, to building companies, going from, can hardly afford a soda at the gas station, to, my most recent thing is I'm putting together deals with companies like Aircall and HubSpot and Monday and, going from nothing to literally working with billion-dollar companies on putting together opportunities for other customers and companies. And I really look back and I think we're scratching at the surface of like what the word relationship is for me, like longevity and relationships. Was really kind of the thing that came up for me prior to me coming on today is having a longevity mindset, a long-term mindset. That's, Darren Hardy's compound effect. People look at that and use it in different ways. And for me, it's always been about like meeting amazing, great people and finding who those people are and just staying in touch with them throughout time, working with them, adding value to what they're doing. And that's saying if you help enough people get what they want, you get what you want. And I realized that like I'm all about relationships and long-term like outlook. And as an example, I just want to share this real quick. This is a crazy story I want to share with everybody. Is I haven't been practicing real estate since 2008, maybe 2009. But prior to that, in the first boom, I guess if you want to call it that, or the last boom, I got pulled in for a lot of reasons. Really wasn't motivated by money. Got into real estate for other reasons, really to help my family. But I found that I was, making money at it, and I enjoyed connecting with people. And so when I would go on listing appointments, at the end of every listing appointment, I would take a handwritten note, take my little Remax business card, double side tape it in there, write something in my chicken scratch handwriting, saying something personal and important about what it meant. But if we never do business together, it was a pleasure meeting you. And no joke, about a month ago, I get a text message from someone saying Justin ? I'm like, hello? And I'm like, and I couldn't figure out who it was. Like, it was really cryptic and they were saying their name. I didn't recognize it at all. They started talking about this property. And fast forward, it was somebody I went on a listing appointment with almost 20 years ago. And they saved that postcard. They said I made such a good positive impression on them over the years that they knew when they were ready to actually sell, they wanted to work with me. And so I don't live in Florida anymore. I actually referred that out to one of my first mentors in real estate, which was like a nice way to kind of pay karma back because she helped me out tremendously. And I just yesterday heard that the property closed and I'm getting a referral commission on a postcard I sent 15 years ago to somebody. And I'm like, and I remember who I was then. And it reminded me of that was all about relationships. I truly put my care and my heart into what I did and people felt it. And nothing's really changed since then. I still, how I write, how I communicate, how I connect, how I remember people's birthdays and use text messaging, which is like, the new postcard. And it really came down to like finding longevity and finding like, what is my purpose and acting from that place every single day. And it's hard to find, but once you do get a sense of it, like, when you're acting in purpose, things that are normally hard, like they're easy. Things that would otherwise be challenging and frustrating are enjoyable and motivating. And so I'm, 20 years later now, I'm in my 40s and I'm looking back. I'm like, oh, there's the consistent theme in my life. Oh, there's when things were easy. And when they were hard, I was, out of alignment with that. And so, be spiritual about it. Like the universe rewards being in alignment with your purpose. And I can see when I face the pain, it's because I'm, out of alignment with that. And I'm like, okay, what do I need to do to continue to get big fat checks with little bits of work, just pushing at, nudging at like the thing that makes life easy. And so there's a spiritual practice called Taoism and Wu Wei, and I'm starting to listen to like, all that flow stuff. And I'm like, okay, what do I need to learn here? I ask myself, what do I need to, what's the universe trying to tell me here?
Yeah.
So I can get more of this without working as hard. And so that's kind of the phase I'm entering into in my life.
So no, I love that. And so for somebody listening in, for you, that journey, is it the journey over a period of time? Is it the awareness? Is it, just the realization? Like, what is it to where you really start to uncover and really start to see what is that purpose? How do you uncover that? How do you find that?
Yeah, I think if everybody could go back and look at like their childhood, this is not supposed to be like a therapy session here, but you'll find a lot of answers in like the places you came from. And you'll see that the things that light you up about where you came from and motivated you are like, okay, you got to get like radical self-awareness. You've heard it from Gary Vee, you heard it from Simon Sinek. You've heard it from, what's her name? Brene Brown. Like, it's all about empathy and self-awareness. And like this new world we've entered into, like soft skills are the new like power skills. And so like being able to listen to like, hey, this feels good. This feels bad. This is bringing me joy. This is bringing me frustration. You got to look at it and say, why? And carve out some space for yourself, carve out some time. Because if you don't make time to like examine this for yourself, then you're just going to kind of continue on the same path, doing things the same way and wondering why things are as difficult as they are. And yeah.
So, with that, finding that purpose, finding that flow, finding, that, I mean, it's almost that happiness. Where are, as you're in that flow, is there a destination, like for you? So, I think back, I was just listening, man, you've worked for some amazing companies over your career, and what's kind of been that process to where, hey, I'm here instead of somebody staying in one place. Like, what's for you to allow to keep moving, right? Like, you're at CDP, right? Whatever happens there, and then it's off the NAEA. Hey, and then we're with,
I was hungry for growth. I was hungry for being surrounded by the best people. I think that's like one of the life lessons I'm passing on to my kids is you have the power to choose your friends and your circumstances more than you think. And that power of choice is like the most important thing. And so there's either people who are going to bring you up or people are going to bring you down. There's people doing things and it helps you visualize a better version of your life. That's probably like, from 20 to 30, 20 to 35. Like that would be my advice to 15 to 35 really is like, just immerse yourself in people who are doing amazing things that you can be a part of and add to your own vision, your own energy, your own skill set. Because you'll learn without having to do. Like you can be in a room with people and you'll model their behaviors. And so I almost took kind of like I would almost say like a child like step in that where I'm like, okay, like I like who I am and I hold myself at a high level, but I also know there's people, and humbling myself to like knowing that there are people who are doing things bigger and better than I am. And so let me put myself into that situation until kind of like an apple matures, it falls off the tree and you're ready to move on to your next thing. And so you got to look at your maturity like the same way you would look at, the way anything in life grows. Like you got to have that self-awareness to say, I'm going to root myself here. There's a certain amount of growth that I'm here for. I don't know how long or how much, but I need to put myself in here. I need to move, right? I moved from Florida. I moved to Austin. I moved to Utah, right? And so I just kind of followed where I needed to go in order to make sure that I continued growing. And I think it's harder in this virtual world to achieve that. So I think, work from home is great. There's nothing like working with a team and being surrounded by people and all that nonverbal communication and learning that you get, the energy. And so if you're at a brokerage, like don't do a virtual brokerage if you can. I know EXP is huge. I don't know exactly how the model works, but it's way easier to learn and grow if you can attach yourself to somebody who is doing it. Sit in the car with them, listen to what they say, follow them along, ask them why they did this or that. Just apprentice. I think the word might be is to take an apprentice mindset to every level in your business, every level in your life. And I think that's the secret right there. Is it's hard. Like I thought I was the best, and I stepped out into the real world, and I realized there was like 100 layers of people who were better than me, and like I didn't like that. My ego didn't like that. But as I've humbled myself to the fact that I'm great at who I am for me, and that when I want more, I can pick and choose. My Instagram is full of inspirational people, right? It's the ideal that I'd like to be. I try to find the best in every little category and follow them that way. And knowing that I don't have to be the best at what they're doing, I just have to follow them and try to be the best at what I'm doing. And that apprentice mindset just kind of continually, even to this day, like, okay, like where am I right now and what am I trying to get to next? And I know that there was going to be a teacher that shows up for me when I ask myself, well, what do I need to learn in this situation? I think that it comes back to as apprentice yourself to the vision that you want to get to, move towards it literally, like surround yourself with those people, humble yourself to not have to be the best, but to surround yourself with the best, and you'll naturally rise to that. And then there'll come a point where you're like, okay, like I'm encountering friction, I've stopped growing, you'll feel some sort of pain or resistance. That's the signal to say, what do I need to learn now? What is this pain trying to teach me? I'm not getting what I want, I'm getting what I don't want. Like, what is this environment? Who am I? And what do I need to change? And if you just kind of stay open to it, and maybe sprinkling a little bit of Dave Goggins, like, what if? Like, you know, the other side of that is like, well, what if this could work out, right? If you're challenging yourself to get into that next space, like if you're fearful of making that next step, like I've maxed out my growth, I'm scared and I don't know what to do, I'm in pain, and like I want to go do this, but what if? Like, what if it works? And so I feel like I've entered into that space. In fact, actually, I'd like to drop just kind of the next bullet point, and I'll let you kind of help guide me to the next part of our show. Is I'm about to celebrate my 1,000th day in a row running a 5K a day. And to a lot of people, they try to like think about that and they don't really understand what I just said. Other people, like, it hits them and like
they don't.
You know what I'm saying, right?
What number are you at right now? What are we?
We're on day.
Close, right?
Yeah, we're on day 982 in a row, every single day, no days missed, out there in the cold,
amazing,
in the snow, in all conditions.
Yeah, so just everybody, so 5K, 3.1 miles minimum every day for 982 consecutive days on our way to 1,000. Without a doubt, going to hit that. What's the goal after that? Keep going.
Yeah, I didn't start with this as a goal. It just kind of like started working out. I was like, oh, I'm doing well. I'm out there. I'm overcoming my demons. What's it taught you the most? Say that again. What has it taught you most through that journey? Yeah. What have you learned the most going through? If you just get up every day and try a little bit, you'll be surprised how far you can go and how long you can do it. And I think running is an analogy for everything in life. The hardest part in so much is getting started, right? The friction and the resistance. Stephen Pressfield talks about this a whole bunch. Art of War. The War of Art. There we go. A little dyslexic there. You train your mind that you can stack habits. You can build momentum in anything. Mental health is a big challenge for me. And so I've been able to, face demons when I feel like it the least. I do it the most. And I know that resistance right there has just kind of kept me out of anxiety, out of depression, gets me out of the house. Like, I have to get out of the house. Like, you'd be surprised how much sorrow and angst in your life comes from non-movement. Like, a lot of people, and I watch, like, my parents get older, people get older, and I'm looking towards the future, that longevity lens. And I'm saying to myself, like, a key, huge component of long-term happiness is movement. Like, if you can't get out of bed and you're bedridden and you're unable to go touch the floor to pick up something, like, there's a cutoff point. Like, you start degrading if you haven't taken care of yourself. And I'm like, quality of life is so correlated with movement and flexibility and physical health, as well as obviously friendships and connections. And so for me, I'm like looking at the short term saying, like, I need to make sure every day, like, taking care of my body because it helps me be positive and present. But I also know that compound effect, that activity, that routine, that habit, that long-term habit of movement. I can't run forever. Although I was running up a mountain here. Hi. And I saw a guy who was like all Jerry Garcia looking, like wiry long hair, big old bushy beard. And he was like, I'm like, this guy's old. And he's doing like 4 or 5 miles up like a steep 7% grade to the top of Squaw Peak here. And I'm like, that guy's a badass. I want to be that guy's friend. And so like I got out of the car and just started running alongside him and say, hey, I'm Justin, and introduce myself while he's running. And come to find out, he's 69 years old. He runs marathons. And every other weekend, I meet him at the bottom of Squaw Peak, and we do about a half marathon, half it's all the way up and all the way down, about 13, 14 miles. And I'm like, this guy, he's like, I got friends who are dead. I got friends who have diabetes. I've got people who just can't move. And he's out there every single day moving. And I'm like, that's what keeps you alive. That's what separates you in the long term from everybody else. And so that longevity mindset, when I see it, like there's again example of that mentor I told you about, that teacher shows up. Like I have this vision and this purpose where I'm like, I try to be consistent over, what do I say? It's consistency over intensity, right? Consistency, the turtle. I'm the turtle. I'm not the fastest guy. I'm not the hare. You will beat me. You'll beat me.
Yeah, I know that.
You'll beat me in the short term. And so I just, that guy, his name is Guy, actually. I don't even know his last name. He's in my phone is Guy, old guy, Squaw Peak runner. His name's Guy, and then Guy, Squaw Peak runner. And we text every couple of days, what's up? And he's just, like my old friend, literally.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. That is awesome. You mentioned too, staying humble and continuing to, have that childlike, inquisitive apprentice, mindset. And, for me, man, I mean, 982 is humbling, right? Any time that, you feel on top of the world, go push yourself, go hit that run up that hill, and you'll be humbled pretty quick.
Yeah. And for me, it's actually sometimes the opposite is like, I need to do this for my own self-esteem. It's like I'm my own hero. Like I tend to like not feel so great about myself, and it's just something I'm working on. But I'll tell you what, every time I run, every single time, no matter how I was feeling before, every single time after, I feel 100 to 1,000% better. And when I feel like shit, sometimes I'll catch a glimpse of myself in the mirror. I'm like, damn, that's a sexy beast. Wow. Like that's me. Funny story is my girlfriend took a picture of me like all shredded, and it's her screensaver, and I forgot or whatever it is on your phone. And I was walking by her a couple of weeks later, and I looked down on her phone, and I see this guy on her phone, and I got jealous. I just like this wave of jealousy. I'm like, what the hell is she having like some dude on her phone? And I looked closer, and it was me. I was jealous of the picture, and because I didn't recognize myself. That's not how I view myself.
Yeah.
And so like my running is a way to make sure that like I think this is the message for everybody. Is everybody's got an inner badass, and I didn't want to not know what it's like to try. By the time I'm 80, look back and say, you coulda, shoulda, woulda. I had that voice in my head one day, and I was fat. I was 50 pounds heavier, saying, well, it's either now or never. It doesn't get easier. And I know that the running has helped me when I can't think positively about myself. I can go do a run. I can transform that. I can look in the mirror, and I can see the progress. And guess what? 982 days in a row sounds like it's some sort of crazy accomplishment. And maybe it is. But really the way I look at it is, and the way I think it's easier to live life is it's just 20 minutes a day. I swear to God, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like if you could put 25 minutes into your day where you just build the discipline to do something, you'll be surprised how you look back and you're like, man, I changed my life in a tiny, tiny little daily dose of do it, as I called it. And so that was it. Like, I do my warm-ups and I have that stuff that's really super important, and you'll learn. And I got all these foam rollers, and I travel with a bag that has like balls and rollers. And in fact, I'm in Park City this weekend because I don't want to drive all the way back. And got 2 suitcases. One of them's full of stretching equipment, but that's, you'll get there if that's what it takes. And so, I mean, that's kind of it for me, is don't ignore that voice. Don't look back in regret. Tiny daily doses of do it stack up to massive wins. Apprentice yourself, humble yourself. And when that pain shows up in your life, let it be a teacher to you to like say, well, what do I need to learn from this? And then teachers appear, like 69-year-old dudes running up mountains who fit into that long-term longevity. You'll just be surprised how like that Taoist mindset starts to make life easier for you. And so seek your highest self and invite others. And that's my mic drop.
Yeah, I love that, man. That's it's absolute gold. It's definitely inspiring. And I just being able to know you before, just definitely the transformation is powerful, and it really is. And I could always count on Jay-Z come and hit me with questions every day. I loved it, man. I was like, all right, cool, let's go. So I know it's definitely inspiring, and I know you'll keep going. It won't even stop. We'll be having this conversation. We'll be almost to hit 2000 and beyond.
Yeah. 2000. Yeah. 3 years comes up soon too. So like, that's kind of another celebration. Oh, that was the other thing to really talk about too. A buddy of mine yesterday, he's going through some shit right now. Really close friend. We went to like elementary school together and just stayed buds for that long. And you look back on your life and you start to see like the people that kind of stayed with you. And like, oh, this is the big point right here. All right. So for a long time, life kind of gives you like the Fred Astaire footstep dance of celebration. Like, yay, go to school, graduate your diploma, woohoo, celebrate. Kind of perfunctory. You win by showing up, right? Go to college, I guess, in some way. And college for me was super easy. I didn't really feel like I got my diploma. I'm like, yay, I got it. It's not, I don't feel like I like did anything monumental in the sense of I showed up, I continued just kind of doing whatever I did. People get married, right? Woohoo, celebrate, right? It's my birthday every day, every year I didn't die. We get to come together and talk about how, I didn't die, right? Or we all get like these kind of like on cue celebrations. And, we're planning a little thing for me in Florida next month where we're bringing a bunch of people together, building an itinerary, having a party. And you know what he said to me? And I said this, and it was really resonating. He goes, you know what you're doing is you've created a reason, you manufactured a reason in your life to celebrate. And like a lot of us just kind of wait for those reasons to come to us or someone to put them together and that's why birthdays start to feel like they suck after a while. I think a lot of people are like, oh, it's my birthday again. I got a little bit older. I didn't die. And like, and what he really brought up to me is like, we should be creating things in our lives that then, because of our hard work, because of our discipline, because of the quality of our character and our relationship to purpose and family and friends and coworkers, that allow us to have something together that wouldn't have otherwise happened, that allow us to celebrate. And like the older we get, the more of those I think we need to be purposefully intentional about creating. So that way we have meaningful celebrations, meaningful accomplishments. And as a runner, I did most of it myself. And I look kind of more broadly and say like, the bigger picture is how do you do that together as a team? How do you bring people together in that larger stance? And even if you don't do that, I thought, what a great way to live life where you're always putting together milestones that you create celebrations around. People invent holidays now. It's National Donut Day. Woohoo! Let's go eat a donut, right? It's National like Orange Juice Month, right? We're people are making up reasons to celebrate and sell shit all the time. But like, why not come up with one on your own? It feels kind of goofy at first. Everyone come and meet me because I ran 1,000 days. I was like, ooh, like, is that? Like, do I feel weird about this? And at first, maybe I did, but like, no. He said to me, he's like, this is amazing. Like, you did something that no one else really does. There's a couple of people I know who've done this. In fact, that's a whole other story. A friend of mine ran across the country. He was on the Rich Roll podcast recently. But that aside, like, yeah, a friend of mine decided to run across the country. create a celebration at the end. Why? Just because he could and he wanted to. Because he did. And so you have some relationship with this. I've watched you, man. You've done Ironmans. Like, that shit is, for me, I look at that and I'm like, wow. Like, I'm starting to think about what other things I can add to my routine, but that's a whole other next level. But you know what I'm talking about is, like, you work hard, you want to bring people together, and you want to have the payoff and celebration. And unless you put intention, and we're starting summer camp right now.
It's intense, man. I'm with you, man. It's the magical moments, right? They don't just happen. They're designed, right? You have to be intentional. You have to design them. And, that's really where the magic happens. And really putting some thought into it, some, really focused on the experience, not only for yourself, but for everybody else around you. That's what really makes it magical, but it is by design.
Yeah, I mean, I've really unpacked like kind of all the big topics for myself, and so why don't you and I get into like you as well? Because that's why we're really here. Is you've put together this show, you bring out a bunch of great people, and I think our stories overlap, and our reasons for what we do overlap, and I think it's a worthy exploration to maybe jump into your world and the Ironmans and what you've learned from that, because your philosophy, like, how did you become the person you are, and why did you start that, and how have you celebrated?
Yeah, for me, I mean, the first big push was, really, that, monumental, right? In our mind, monumental, really turning 40. But for me, turning 40, because I lost my mom when I was 11, and she was like 2 months from her 40th birthday. So it was more of that. But what's crazy, and I know you can kind of attest to this. You start something for a reason, and you get into it, and you uncover that there's a whole other meaning to it. And so initially that had been hey, I'm going to honor my mom, and I'm going to do this. But really, what it turned out to be is really was an honor of my dad, because he lost his best friend. Right. They were married for several years before they had me. So they had, time to spend together. And then, just like, I had, frustrations towards him back, like you said, back on childhood, because, during that process when my mom was sick, they really, they did the best they could, but they really kind of hid that from me and my sister. And so there was that. I have resentment, but I don't know why I have resentment until you get a little bit older and you explore it. And so what I realized is, like, shit, man, my dad was just doing the best that he knew that he was doing, right? He thought he was doing the best for us, me and my sister, by really kind of keeping us in the dark to really what was going on. And so, what I, when you're out there, this, when you're out there, and I like to run with no headphones, because I want to deal with what's going on, the thoughts in my head, right? I don't want to cancel it out with music and noise. I want to have to listen to it. I want to have to deal with it. And so really the time investment is the big thing, right? With anything endurance. So, out there, like this past weekend, right? My Saturday was 7 hours of training, right? 7 hours in 100-degree heat training. You learn a lot about yourself during that time. But that process with my dad, where it all started, originally is, hey, I'm going to honor my mom. Well, not only did my dad have to endure that, he remarried for 20 plus years, and then lost her to cancer as well. So I'm like, holy shit, man, not only, do you lose your best friend once, but then you have to turn around and do it again. And so going through that whole process, it really turned to be like, oh, this is really an honor of my dad and honoring him. And we put together Lace Up for Pops. So that first marathon was New York City, right? I was like, hey, I want to do something. I love running in New York City. And I was like, hey, let's just do the New York City Marathon. So I'm a turtle like you. And so I can't qualify. So how you get into those big events is you got to go the sponsor route. And so it cost a lot of money to be able to run that race. And so we did Lace Up for Pops, and in honor of one of the main hospitals there, Fred's team, which is cancer research. but my dad had never been to New York City. So being able to take him to New York City to experience the New York City Marathon, it was magical, right? And when it's hard, right, it gets hard out there, and in my mind it was, man, this is for him, right? Like, and you're able to ignore that pain and you take it off of you. And that's what Goggins says, right? Is that he said where people fail and is that they get fixated on the finish. He said you can't get fixated on the finish. You have to focus on you have to deal with the now, and you have to really sink into it. And he said what's even more powerful is that when you can think about the person right beside you. So like doing that, all of that training, doing that race, I thought about him right beside me. And I was like, fuck, I ain't in pain. Because this guy had to bury his best friend twice. Like, that's pain. And so you're able to take it off of you, and it's not pain, and you understand what you're doing it for. And that just kind of led down the path. And I remember, we were in LA at the last Content and Commerce that the TNC boys put on in LA, and they had Jesse Itzler was the keynote. And it resonated. Jesse up there on stage, he said, the worst thing that we can do as human beings is set a big, hairy, audacious goal, accomplish it, and do nothing after that. He said, you have to set the next big goal. And I was like, holy smokes, I haven't reset the goal. And so that led to Ironman and just kind of going down that path. And, the first Ironman, it goes back to right. As like say, hey, this is for my dad. And I kid you not. The reason that I did Ironman is because I wanted my kids to be able to say my dad's an Ironman. That's it. And when I was going through the struggle, I would envision every one of my kids going, and I could just picture them saying, hey, my dad's an Ironman. My daughter, hey, my dad's an Ironman. Zach, my dad's an Ironman. Zane, my dad's an Ironman. And I would just replay that vision over and over and over. And like, that just allows you to keep taking the next step.
It's funny you bring that up. You just brought up so many great things. I think you and I could just have like a monthly podcast where we kind of like swirl the pod on these topics and just go back and forth. I think like what kicked us off here was just like, I'm celebrating 1,000 days. Great. Kind of a moment in time. But I think there's kind of the ongoing thing, which I'll save for another point. But you said, Iron Man. The other day, my girlfriend, call her my wife. It's so, the line is so blurred. I mean, we're not officially married, but like the level of our relationship and commitment is, and so she told me my stepson told her a couple of days ago, when you first met, he calls me Papa Bear, he wasn't that great. He was kind of fat. And like, I think he's now a superhero, and so he's watched that transformation. Those are kind of the words, something like not so great to like, he's like amazing now. And so well, gosh, who was I? How through the mouths of babes, right? They say. But I think the benefit to what you just said, and I got a little glimpse of it. I don't think he called me Iron Man or anything, but to know and to watch parents, again, going back to apprenticeships, children are like by default little apprentices. And for him to watch me go and lose 50 pounds and to show up every single day. In fact, yesterday he goes, are you going to run today? And he's like, of course. He's like, because he said these words. He goes, you have a commitment to your body. He's 10 years old. He understands you made a commitment to your body. Those are his words. I was like, man, he has been there watching, right? And so for him to watch me transform, I think everybody should give their children something like that. Do something for that experience that they can look back no matter where they are in their lives to say, I can level up because I watched my dad or my stepdad do something every day and improve. And I think that might be the salt that, politics aside, socioeconomics aside, I feel like that's the one thing that we all have, that we all can do, that no matter what, if we could individually take ownership over that and not worry about who's in power and what policies or politics are going on. I think the personal politics of personal transformation is what's going to make our world better, right? If we demonstrate to our children and our neighbors we can, with a pair of fucking running shoes, that's it, right? And it's in my running shorts, like with the most minimal of minimals, you don't need a lot to go from zero to hero in the eyes of your children and your neighbors. And I think that is what is going to give people the mental motivation to transform their lives, because that's what creates strife. That's what creates pain. That's what creates all this friction, is people feel stuck based on where they are, who they are, jobs and ideology, and then they blame the other sides because of ideology, when that matters in some big picture, but like but they're giving up their personal power to demonstrate to themselves and their neighbors and their children what's possible. So for me, again, like I try to go full spectrum, from like the grittiest of grit of sand all the way to the big cloudy big picture of philosophy. But I think it's connected all the way through, from how you show up every single day to what you believe and how it shows up in the future in our children.
Yeah, I'm with you, brother. It is, man. And they are watching. I love how you put that, man. They are little apprentices. And, that's, the apprentice's job is to pay attention and ask questions, be inquisitive. And that's exactly what they do. And, they're watching, and they're watching someone, and they might as well be watching, us as their parents. Are we, modeling that behavior?
And I want to tie that back to what you said is, for a cause. Like sometimes people can't find a reason to do it for themselves, and sometimes they need to see, for my dad or for my children, and that's enough motivation. And then you start getting out there and you start seeing, all right, let's it goes deeper. You win that one, you do it for them, and then you're like, well, I'm not going to stop. And then you realize there's a deeper cause and a deeper cause and a deeper cause.
Yeah, and it is right, and man, it's just I think the thing too is just that we're capable of so much more, and you start to uncover that, right, as you get there, you push a little bit. You're like, man, I remember like 5K, you're out of your mind, right? 5K, half marathon, you got to be kidding me, and then you're like, oh, okay, I can go a little bit further, and it's. And two, right, you experience it, but you also see it, right? You either see it with your eyes or you see it in your mind's eye, and you're able to really, okay, that's possible. And I always think too, man, okay, if that human being can do it, then I can do it too. So it's just the never ending pursuit of just knowing that we can do more.
Absolutely. You said something earlier that I never put much attention on. I recognize it now. And it's like when I go out to run, and this is probably for more of a topic for anybody getting out there already hustling and doing their exercise, and like it's like the conscious decision that you make around not listening to things. I never realized that I kind of am a little wish-washy on that sometimes. Like I don't realize that like I actually am making a decision. Certain days I'm like, I want to listen to, like I've been just all into like old Prodigy soundtrack, like just like 90s 2000 like techno rave music.
That's
and then
good, just that'll definitely that works.
Pump me up. Sometimes like that's the mood I'm in. Sometimes I want to be by myself and I want nothing. I don't even take my phone. I don't want any devices, any tracking. I just want to be free, and I gotta go work out some shit, and I want to be alone. And then there are some times where like I'm not good being by myself and I need a better voice. And I've got this like list of awesome podcasts that I listen to, where if the voice in my head isn't as strong or bold or as positive as I'd like it to be, I can recognize that. I'm like, I gotta listen to Goggins, or I gotta listen to some Rich Roll, or I gotta listen to some Alan Watts. I need some philosophy. Like I'm like, what nourishment mentally do I need right now, because I can't give it to myself. And so I realized that there's a kind of like a little bit of an a la carte menu that I pull from depending on what's going on inside of me. And I think that I wonder how other people who get out there and do it, how they do it. And those who are wondering, like, what should I do and what should I listen to? Like, those are the options I choose.
Yeah, I'm with you too. I mean, there are days, I'm like, I'll something, but I do always some part of it to kind of deal with it. And then, wherever, like you, I'm like you, just kind of what I feel I need to be able to put that nourishment, right? It's nourishment into your body, but it's also the nourishment into your mind is just as important. So, some days I need a little bit, something to, kind of get you to that point where you got to deal with it. And then there's days, man, I need some Gary V in my life, right? So it's just whatever applies to be able to put in there.
Yeah. So I don't know, any kind of final thoughts or things you want to ask me about?
I appreciate you making the time. Love, anytime that we're able to connect and chop it up. I know we've had multiple conversations that are out there floating somewhere that we were able to capture. But no, man, brother, I always look forward to connecting with you and kind of just seeing where each other is at and helping each other keep pushing and becoming better versions of ourselves every day.
Absolutely. And I know this is not the last time we're going to do something like this. And if you happen to be in South Florida, August 21st and 2nd, putting together a string of events, a little 5K run with friends for that 1,000th day. Anybody listening out there wants to come in and join in, we'll be in Delray Beach at 9 a.m. on August 22nd. That's Sunday. Awesome. So a lot of fun things planned after that, but that's where the turtle run, we'll call it. We're going to do it. I'm sure I'm going to slow down for the people who I run too fast for. And if you're a speed runner, well, come on out anyways.
Yeah. Okay. I'll see you. I'll catch up with you.
Cool, man.
Cool. Awesome, brother. Well, appreciate you, man. Enjoy the day. I know, get that run in and we'll do it again soon.
It's already done. Did it.
There you go. Love it.
Right,
see you, brother. Thanks.
See you. Thank you.